The fall of Earth's diplomacy. The day began like any other, but Earth's future was about to change forever. The Galactic Council, the governing body that controlled the fate of entire star systems, had made a decision that would shake humanity to its core. Earth, after years of striving to become part of the galactic community, was suddenly banned from the Council. The news spread across the globe like wildfire, reaching every corner of the planet in mere moments. The people of Earth, once hopeful for a place among the stars, were now facing the harsh reality. They had been rejected. It all began with a simple, yet damning, accusation. Earth's diplomats had been accused of breaking the most sacred rule of galactic law. The violation was vague at first, but as the details slowly emerged, it became clear that Earth had been accused of undermining the authority of the Galactic Council. The nature of the crime was something none of Earth's leaders had expected. It wasn't about violence or war, but rather a diplomatic misunderstanding that was blown out of proportion by a few influential galactic factions. But to the Council, the accusation was severe enough to justify Earth's banishment. The news hit like a hammer. Leaders across the planet scrambled to understand what had gone wrong. President Elizabeth Miller, the head of Earth's unified government, was forced to address the people. Her face, typically calm and composed, betrayed her deep concern. She tried to reassure the public, but the truth was clear. Earth was now considered an outcast. "This is a temporary setback," she told the world, though her voice lacked the confidence it once held. The question on everyone's mind was simple: why had Earth been banned? Behind closed doors, Earth's diplomats fought to clear the planet's name. Hours of negotiations, filled with tense exchanges, did nothing to change the Council's stance. The Council, made up of diverse and powerful alien species, saw Earth's actions as an embarrassment. They believed that humanity was too unpredictable, too chaotic, and too naive to be trusted with the power that came with being part of the Council. Earth's leaders were furious, but they knew they had no choice but to accept the decision, for now. But the people of Earth weren't so easily swayed. News outlets across the globe quickly turned the story into a rallying cry. Demonstrations erupted in major cities. People held signs that read, "We are not criminals," and "Humans deserve a place in the stars." The anger and frustration were palpable, and as the days passed, it became clear that the people of Earth were united in their desire for a fair hearing. They refused to accept being cast aside. In the midst of this chaos, a new voice emerged. Dr. Lucas Hayes, a brilliant scientist and visionary. While most world leaders debated how to restore Earth's reputation in the eyes of the Galactic Council, Dr. Hayes proposed an entirely different solution. "Why fight to join them?" he asked. "Why beg for a seat at their table when we can build our own table?" His words struck a chord with many. Dr. Hayes was known for his unconventional ideas, but this was different. This wasn't about diplomacy or appeasing the Council. It was about taking action. Dr. Hayes's proposal was simple. Earth could build its own empire. He envisioned humanity establishing its own spacefaring civilization, one that didn't need the approval of any galactic entity. His idea was met with skepticism at first. Most leaders were still in shock over the banishment and couldn't fathom the possibility of Earth taking such drastic steps. But Dr. Hayes's plan wasn't just about talk, it was about action. He had already begun laying the groundwork for Earth's future. Secret meetings were held, and covert operations began. Earth's brightest minds, including military strategists, engineers, and scientists, were recruited to create a new kind of defense system, one that didn't rely on the favor of the Galactic Council. The aim was to build ships, weapons, and technology that could rival any galactic power. Earth would no longer be a passive player in the universe. It would become a force to be reckoned with. But not everyone agreed with Dr. Hayes's vision. A faction of Earth's leaders, still loyal to the Galactic Council, argued that building an empire was too dangerous. They warned that the Council's response would be swift and brutal. If Earth attempted to challenge the status quo, the consequences would be catastrophic. Tensions began to rise within the government, and soon, the once united leadership found itself divided. The people, however, were largely in support of Dr. Hayes's plan. As the months went on, more and more citizens rallied behind the idea of an independent Earth. The media, once skeptical, now began to frame the situation as a fight for humanity's survival and dignity. "The universe must respect us" became a common rallying cry. In the streets, in the halls of government, and across the social networks, humanity began to prepare for something monumental. The question of Earth's future was no longer in the hands of the Galactic Council. It was in the hands of humanity itself. Earth's leaders, whether they liked it or not, would have to face the consequences of their actions. The Galactic Council had made a grave mistake in underestimating humanity. What they didn't know was that their decision had ignited something far more powerful than they could have ever imagined. As Earth's plans slowly took shape in secret, the first ships were being designed. They weren't just ships. They were symbols of resistance. Each vessel, built from Earth's raw resources, would represent the future of a new empire. And as the first engines roared to life in hidden labs, a new chapter in human history was about to begin. The question wasn't whether Earth could survive. It was whether the galaxy would be ready for the humans who were about to rise. The fall of Earth's diplomacy had marked the beginning of something far greater. Earth's banishment from the Galactic Council was not the end. It was the spark that would ignite a fire that could not be put out. And soon, the galaxy would know the true power of humanity. As the days passed after Earth's banishment, the people of the planet grew restless, unable to sit idly by while their fate hung in the balance. The Galactic Council's decision had left them in the shadows of the universe, stripped of any voice in the galactic order. But Dr. Lucas Hayes, the visionary scientist, had sparked something inside humanity, something deep and powerful, a flame of rebellion. A drive for self-sufficiency and a thirst for independence began to spread across the globe like wildfire. In secret laboratories and government bunkers, scientists, engineers, and military experts began working tirelessly on the vision Dr. Hayes had outlined. They had begun to craft an empire of their own. But it wasn't just about building ships and weapons. It was about creating a new world, one where Earth's people no longer relied on the approval of other races to survive and thrive. The initial steps were modest, but the ambition was immense. The first phase of the plan involved gathering Earth's most advanced technology and using it to create a fleet of spacecraft that could rival the mighty ships of the Galactic Council. It wasn't easy. Earth's technology, though advanced, was no match for the resources of the Council's civilizations. The task was monumental, and the first prototype ships were rudimentary. They lacked the sophistication and firepower of the galactic powers, but they had something else: creativity, determination, and a human drive to innovate. Dr. Hayes led the effort with unrelenting passion. He believed that humanity had something no other species could match: the ability to think outside the box, to come up with solutions where others saw only problems. And so the first spacecrafts began to take shape in the hidden depths of Earth's underground labs. These ships weren't just pieces of machinery. They were symbols of human defiance. Each one represented a commitment to survival and the desire to show the universe that Earth was not to be underestimated. Meanwhile, on the surface, tensions continued to rise. As news of Earth's growing efforts leaked out, the political landscape of the planet grew increasingly divided. Some factions still held hope that diplomacy could mend the rift with the Galactic Council, while others, like Dr. Hayes, had abandoned that path entirely. The old way of doing things, seeking approval, pleading for respect, was no longer an option. Earth needed strength, not weakness. Earth's government was split. On one side, there were the traditionalists, those who believed that Earth's future lay in being reintegrated into the galactic order. They believed the Galactic Council would one day recognize Earth's value and lift the ban. But on the other side stood the revolutionaries, those who had already pledged their loyalty to the idea of a self-sufficient humanity. They argued that the Galactic Council had shown its true face, and Earth should now chart its own path, independent of any galactic empire. Dr. Hayes wasn't alone in his vision. Across the globe, people from all walks of life rallied behind the cause. The working class, the intellectuals, the military, and even the young generation, who had grown up dreaming of space exploration, now saw their opportunity to become the architects of a new empire. Earth was no longer the oppressed planet waiting for a seat at the table. It was a world rising from the ashes of betrayal, determined to carve its place in the universe. The tension between the two factions reached a boiling point. Protests, debates, and civil unrest became daily occurrences. The streets of major cities were filled with voices crying out for either peace or defiance. Some believed that the Galactic Council would eventually see the error of their ways and offer Earth a second chance, while others demanded immediate action to build the foundation of an independent Earth. The military played a significant role in the unfolding drama. As Earth's top generals and strategists weighed in, a new kind of military doctrine began to take shape. The goal was not just defense, but also the capability to strike when necessary, to show the galaxy that Earth was a force that could no longer be ignored. Earth's military had always been relatively small compared to the galactic powers, but now, with the combined efforts of Earth's brightest minds, it would become a highly trained and formidable force. Within months, the first warships began to take form. The ships were sleek, powerful, and unlike anything the universe had ever seen. They were designed to be adaptable, able to withstand the most devastating attacks, and equipped with advanced weapons systems built from Earth's own inventions. These ships, though still in the early stages of development, were the first step toward Earth's bold vision for the future. But it wasn't just about military strength. Earth's scientists worked tirelessly to create new technologies, including advanced propulsion systems that would allow humanity to travel faster and farther than ever before. The new ships were not just tools of war. They were vessels of exploration, capable of carrying humanity beyond the solar system and into the unknown reaches of the galaxy. The first prototype ship, named Pride of Earth, was completed after a year of grueling work. The ship was a marvel of human ingenuity, equipped with advanced energy shields, long-range weaponry, and a powerful drive system that could push the ship to faster-than-light speeds. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start, a symbol of what humanity could achieve when it refused to accept defeat. As the Pride of Earth prepared for its maiden voyage, Dr. Hayes addressed the world once again. Standing before the United Nations of Earth, he spoke of humanity's future, not as a servant of the Galactic Council, but as a proud independent species capable of standing shoulder to shoulder with the greatest civilizations in the universe. "We will not beg for a place among the stars," he declared. "We will take our place, and we will build an empire that will stand the test of time." The crowd erupted in applause. The vision was clear. Earth was no longer a beggar, waiting for scraps from the table of galactic power. It was a new force, one that would make its own destiny. And as the Pride of Earth soared into the sky, the people of Earth knew that the journey had just begun. The galaxy had cast them aside, but humanity had risen, determined to prove that their place among the stars was not for the taking. It was theirs for the claiming. The future of Earth was now in their hands. As the Pride of Earth ascended into the vastness of space, a new chapter began for humanity. Earth, once cast aside by the Galactic Council, now had the tools and the will to carve its own path. The Pride of Earth was not just a ship. It was the beginning of something far greater. It was the first of many, a symbol of Earth's defiance and newfound strength. The people of Earth watched in awe as the ship pierced the atmosphere, leaving behind a planet that had been rejected and betrayed, now embarking on its own journey toward greatness. Back on Earth, the excitement and determination that had been building for months reached a fever pitch. The ship's successful launch was not just a technological achievement. It was the spark that lit the fire of ambition across the entire planet. People were no longer looking to the stars in search of approval or recognition from the Galactic Council. Instead, they saw endless possibilities. Earth had a future, not as a member of a galactic community, but as a powerful, self-sustaining empire. While the pride of Earth journeyed through the stars, the planet below was busy preparing for the future. Earth's new military was growing rapidly, not just in numbers, but in strength and sophistication. The prototypes that had been rushed into production were being refined and expanded, and soon Earth would have a fleet that could rival any empire in the galaxy. The first wave of ships, constructed from Earth's own materials and powered by their own innovation, would soon be followed by a second, more advanced wave that would further cement humanity's place as a force to be reckoned with. In the midst of this progress, Dr. Lucas Hayes and his team of scientists continued their work. They weren't just focused on military power. They were laying the groundwork for a society that could sustain itself without reliance on the Galactic Council or any other civilization. Earth had to be self-sufficient, capable of surviving on its own, without needing to ask for anything from the vast civilizations that surrounded it. This meant developing new technologies to sustain life in space, such as advanced agriculture systems, artificial intelligence, and sustainable energy sources that could power entire colonies. The political landscape on Earth was also shifting. The government had split into two factions: the traditionalists, who still held out hope for a diplomatic resolution with the Galactic Council, and the revolutionaries, who believed that Earth had to sever all ties and establish its own empire. As the first fleet of warships began to take shape, it was clear which side was gaining the upper hand. Dr. Hayes, along with his supporters, was the leader of this new movement, one that rejected the idea of begging for a seat at the galactic table. At the same time, Earth's military leaders were preparing for the inevitable confrontation with the Galactic Council. It was only a matter of time before the galaxy took notice of Earth's growing power. The pride of Earth was just the beginning, and soon there would be more ships, more firepower, and more military might than any galactic empire could ignore. But the human forces had learned a vital lesson from their past: the importance of strategy. They couldn't rely solely on brute force to carve their place in the galaxy. They needed to outthink their enemies, to use their ingenuity and creativity to gain an advantage over the established powers of the universe. The early days of the new Earth Empire were focused on military and technological expansion, but the real work had just begun. As Earth's fleet grew stronger, Dr. Hayes's vision of a self-sustaining humanity began to take shape. Earth wasn't just building ships and weapons. It was building a society, one that could survive and thrive in the harshest environments. This meant focusing on everything from resource mining in distant planets to creating cities in space. The goal wasn't just to fight back against the Galactic Council. It was to build a civilization that could stand the test of time, independent of anyone. Earth's first colony ships set sail for distant stars, carrying with them humanity's hopes and dreams. These ships were not just vehicles for survival. They were vessels of opportunity. Each colony was designed to be self-sufficient, with everything needed to support a thriving community, from energy sources to food production. The goal was to create a network of Earth colonies that could sustain themselves, share knowledge, and develop their own technologies without relying on any external empire. But even as humanity took steps to build its empire, there was a sense of unease. The Galactic Council had not yet fully reacted to Earth's bold moves. While some in the Council saw the rise of Earth's power as a threat, others were still convinced that Earth would remain a small, insignificant planet in the grand scheme of the galaxy. They underestimated humanity's ability to adapt and innovate. The Council believed that Earth's military, no matter how impressive, would never be able to stand up to the might of the galactic powers. Yet, in the shadows of the universe, Earth's influence was growing. The galaxy was beginning to take notice, and the once-forgotten planet was now a force that could not be ignored. Earth had proven that it could stand on its own. The pride of Earth was not just a symbol of defiance. It was a harbinger of a new era. As the first fleet of warships left Earth's orbit, the leaders of Earth's new empire stood together, looking out at the stars. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear: Earth was no longer a passive observer in the galaxy. It had taken its fate into its own hands and was determined to shape its future, no matter the cost. The Galactic Council might have thought that Earth was weak, that the planet would crumble without their approval. But now, Earth had built something stronger than just a military. It had built an empire. And the universe was about to learn just how powerful humanity could be when it was forced to stand alone. The stars glittered like countless eyes watching the rise of Earth's empire. From the dark corners of the galaxy, the established powers were beginning to stir, sensing something new, something dangerous. Earth's rapid transformation from a small, insignificant planet to a growing empire was no longer a secret. The Galactic Council, once dismissive of Earth's potential, could no longer ignore the rumblings of its newfound power. Earth was no longer the quiet, defenseless world it had once been. It had become a force, and soon it would be impossible to ignore. For Dr. Lucas Hayes and his team, the tension was palpable. They had not only built a fleet, they had built a new way of life. Earth was now home to thriving space colonies, self-sustaining cities on distant planets, and new military outposts scattered throughout the galaxy. The rise of this new Earth empire had been swift, but it had been calculated. Every move had been planned with precision, ensuring that Earth would stand as an equal among the stars, or, better yet, as a superior force that would demand respect. The Pride of Earth, the first ship to leave Earth's atmosphere, was now accompanied by dozens of warships, each one more advanced than the last. The fleet was a symbol of Earth's resilience, its ingenuity, and its refusal to remain weak. Every ship was a testament to human perseverance, a physical manifestation of the planet's defiance against those who had once believed it would crumble without support. The fleet had been built not just with weapons and military technology, but with human determination and creativity. Back on Earth, the government had fully embraced its new direction. The old regime, which had once hoped for peace and reconciliation with the Galactic Council, had been overthrown. The revolutionaries, led by Dr. Hayes, were now in full control, steering the planet's future toward an empire of their own making. With Earth's military now on the rise, they had shifted from defense to offense. It was time to send a message to the galaxy. Earth would no longer be a subject, but a sovereign power. The first test of Earth's strength came sooner than anyone had expected. A fleet from the Galactic Council, underestimating the rapid advances humanity had made, entered Earth's solar system. They were on a diplomatic mission, thinking that they could quell the growing unrest by offering a seat at the table once more. They believed that Earth's technological advancements were nothing more than a bluff, another desperate attempt by a weak planet to be seen. What they didn't anticipate was the level of preparedness humanity had achieved. As the Council's ships entered Earth's space, Earth's new defense network sprang to life. Sensors scanned the approaching fleet, and soon the Pride of Earth led the charge, accompanied by several newly commissioned warships. The Galactic Council had underestimated the sheer speed at which Earth had developed, and now they were walking straight into a well-laid trap. Dr. Hayes watched from his command center, his heart pounding. This was it, the moment when Earth would prove its worth. The time for negotiations was over. The battle was not just about power, it was about survival, about asserting humanity's place in the universe. Earth had been cast aside for far too long, and now it was time to show that humanity would no longer be a pawn in the games of the larger galactic empires. As the battle unfolded, Earth's fleet demonstrated a shocking level of efficiency. The ships were small compared to the mighty war vessels of the galactic empires, but they were faster, more agile, and equipped with cutting-edge technology. Earth's warships moved with precision, outmaneuvering their larger adversaries. The enemy fleet, confident in their overwhelming power, was blindsided. They never saw it coming. The Galactic Council's fleet was caught off guard as Earth's warships began to strike with surgical precision, targeting weak points and disabling critical systems. The Council ships, unable to match the speed and cunning of Earth's new forces, were forced to retreat. Earth had sent its message loud and clear. The time for underestimating humanity was over. Dr. Hayes stood at the helm, watching the battle unfold on his screen. He felt a surge of pride, not just in his team or in the military forces, but in the entire planet. Earth had never been given a chance to shine in the galaxy, but now it was standing tall. Humanity had proven that when pushed to the edge, it would fight back, not with desperation, but with brilliance. As the battle ended with a decisive Earth victory, the Galactic Council was left in shock. Their first real encounter with humanity had not gone as they had expected. Earth had not only held its own, it had delivered a crushing blow to the powerful fleets of the Council. It was a victory that reverberated across the galaxy, a message that could not be ignored. Earth was no longer a planet of the weak. It had become a force that would not be silenced. But this was just the beginning. Earth's military might was growing, its influence expanding, and its fleet becoming more formidable with each passing day. The Galactic Council had learned a painful lesson. Humanity was not to be underestimated. As Earth continued to build its empire, the rest of the galaxy would watch closely. And while some would continue to underestimate Earth, others would begin to wonder if it was wise to stand against a planet that had been cast aside, only to rise with unmatched power and resolve. The universe had underestimated humanity once before. Now, they would never make that mistake again. Earth's empire had begun, and its reach would only grow. The fate of the galaxy was now in the hands of a planet that had been abandoned and scorned, but now stood tall, ready to shape its own destiny. The victory over the Galactic Council's fleet was only the beginning. What Earth had accomplished in that one battle was enough to shake the foundations of the entire galaxy. No one had ever anticipated that a small, seemingly insignificant planet like Earth could rise up, build its own empire, and defeat one of the most powerful galactic forces. But now, the galaxy was forced to confront the reality. Earth had become a force to be reckoned with. Dr. Lucas Hayes stood on the balcony of the newly established Earth Command Center, overlooking the bustling city below. The skyline, once filled with mundane office buildings and small residential areas, now gleamed with towering structures, symbols of humanity's newfound power. The streets were filled with people going about their daily lives, but there was a palpable change in the air. Earth was no longer just a home to billions of people. It was the center of a burgeoning empire. The transformation had been swift, almost too fast for many to fully comprehend. What started as a desperate bid for survival had blossomed into something much greater. Earth had not only built a powerful fleet, it had forged a new order. Military bases, research stations, and spaceports now dotted the landscape of various planets and moons that Earth had claimed as part of its expanding empire. Humanity had grown from a planet at the mercy of the galaxy's established powers to a rising empire whose influence spread further with each passing day. But with great power came great challenges. The Galactic Council had not remained passive in the face of Earth's success. Though the battle had ended with Earth's victory, the Council's leaders were already discussing their next move. They could no longer afford to ignore Earth, but their pride and arrogance would not allow them to accept a newly emerged power like Earth without resistance. Back on Earth, the military leaders were preparing for the inevitable. They knew the Council would retaliate. The question wasn't if it would come, but when. Earth's fleet had grown stronger, more formidable with every new ship, every new technology. The soldiers, engineers, and commanders of Earth were now among the most advanced in the galaxy, but even they understood that the Council would not go down easily. In the weeks that followed their first battle, Earth's forces continued to fortify their defenses. Every ship was upgraded, every weapon system refined. No one was under any illusion. They would have to be ready for whatever the Council threw at them. Dr. Hayes had been spending countless hours in the command center, poring over reports and strategizing with his generals. He knew that Earth's position was tenuous. The galaxy had a long history of warring factions, and while Earth had proven its strength, it was still a new player on the galactic stage. The Council's retaliation could come in many forms: economic pressure, political maneuvering, or, more likely, another military campaign. But Earth was not a planet that would back down from a fight, especially not after everything they had sacrificed to get to this point. As the days passed, Earth's influence continued to grow. The first major victory had given humanity the confidence to pursue its ambitions. They sent emissaries to other worlds, offering alliances, trade agreements, and protection. For many species in the galaxy, Earth's rise was an opportunity. Some were eager to join the growing human empire, seeing the power of Earth's fleet as a shield against the dominant forces of the galaxy. Others, however, were more cautious, watching from the sidelines, unsure of what Earth's empire would mean for the balance of power. The situation was a delicate one. On the one hand, Earth had the military might to crush any opposition. On the other, it had yet to fully understand the complexities of galactic diplomacy. Earth was not simply expanding its borders. It was carving out a place for itself among the stars, and that meant engaging with countless other civilizations, many of which had their own agendas. Some were peaceful, seeking only to coexist. Others were more ambitious, driven by greed and power. Navigating these relationships would be no small feat, and Dr. Hayes knew that the future of Earth's empire would depend not just on military might, but on the skill of its diplomats. In the shadows of Earth's rise, the Galactic Council had been quietly assembling its forces. The humiliation they had suffered at the hands of humanity had not been forgotten. They had underestimated Earth once before, and now they would not make that mistake again. Ships were being retrofitted with the latest weapons technology, and new fleets were being built in secret, all in preparation for the inevitable confrontation. The Council had already dispatched envoys to several of the more neutral planets, seeking to build coalitions to challenge Earth's growing influence. As the tension in the galaxy continued to build, a new threat emerged from an unexpected source. A powerful group of mercenaries, known as the Vornar, had taken notice of Earth's success and decided to act. They saw Earth's rise as an opportunity to make a fortune. The Vornar were ruthless, skilled in combat, and known for their underhanded tactics. They had no allegiance to anyone, and they quickly began offering their services to the highest bidder. The Galactic Council, desperate to regain their footing, made a secret agreement with the Vornar, offering them vast sums of credits and resources in exchange for their help in taking down Earth's growing empire. But Earth's leaders were not blind to the changing dynamics. Dr. Hayes and his team had already anticipated that the Council would seek outside help. They were prepared for the Vornar, just as they had been prepared for every other threat. Earth's intelligence networks were vast, and they quickly uncovered the plot. It was time for Earth to strike first. If the Council wanted a fight, they would get one. The Vornar launched their first attack on a newly established Earth colony on a distant moon. It was swift and brutal, designed to send a message. But Earth was ready. The fleet had been mobilized, and the Vornar quickly learned that underestimating humanity would be their greatest mistake. The battle was fierce, but Earth's forces proved to be more than a match for the mercenaries. The Vornar were driven back, and the galaxy watched as Earth once again demonstrated its strength. This was not a planet that could be easily defeated. Earth had already proven its resilience, and now it was showing the galaxy that it could not be taken down without a fight. As the dust settled, Dr. Hayes stood before a vast holographic map of the galaxy, his eyes focused on the future. Earth was no longer just a planet. It was an empire, and it would continue to grow. The fight for Earth's survival had evolved into something far greater. The galaxy was on the brink of a new era, one where Earth would no longer be ignored or sidelined. And though the Council and other powers in the galaxy would undoubtedly continue to challenge Earth's growing influence, humanity had already shown that it would not back down. The rise of Earth's empire was only the beginning. The stars were now within reach, and humanity was determined to claim them.